I always thought that it was, music and creativity, and then the marketing was just the necessity. The truth of it is that marketing is creative too. Well, hey everyone, I'm Ryan from the Indie Music Academy. The Indie Music Academy is meant to help independent artists uncover the mysteries of the music industry, learn how to grow a larger fan base, and earn an income from their music. I always thought that it was, music and creativity, and then the marketing was just the necessity, that just had to happen. But my mindset kind of changed a little bit as I learned more, because the truth of it is that marketing is creative too. It's a different type of creativity. It's not strumming the guitar, but just like how writing a book is creative, you're kind of using that creative writer's mind when you're, creating an ad, or you're working on a web page, or you're trying to tell a story that has a purpose. And so that love was kind of kindled when I didn't even think that it should have been there to begin with as a musician. So that was kind of an interesting realization.
Yeah, a lot of artists I talk to think of marketing as this scary thing, that's this boring business type of thing. But I don't know, like that's how I felt about it at first too. But at some point you realize that it can kind of be fun, like especially once things start working. Especially when it's not working, it's kind of horrible. But then you start getting some results, and you kind of almost get addicted to it a little bit. Like you're like, what can I do next to make this? Kind of like when you're writing music, you start like thinking. You almost get a little competitive with yourself. How can I make this better? And the marketing is similar to that. And just like around your song, when you're writing lyrics, you're telling a story. I mean, unless you write different kind of lyrics than most people, and you're not telling stories. But if you're doing an instrumental, you're telling a story like sonically. You have an intro. You're kind of taking people through an emotional story. The marketing, I mean, depends what type of specific thing you're doing, but most marketing campaigns involve some level of storytelling at some point, where even if you're making an ad, maybe in the text of your ad you're describing the story of the song, or maybe if you're making a music video, you might be telling a story in that music video, or when you decide what social media content you're doing, you might be kind of creating a narrative building up to a specific release so that people have the right frame of mind when your song comes out, which all comes back to human nature and psychology, I guess, which is what you just mentioned.
Yeah, we're a sucker for stories. As humans, it's built right into our DNA. That's why I see so many recurring kind of story structures, like the hero's journey, and which is basically Star Wars and Lord of the Rings and every movie, but not every movie, but
pretty much every movie, if it's not a hero's journey, it's something very similar. And if some of you watching don't know what we're talking about, look up the hero's journey and just do some research on it. You'll see that almost every movie, TV show, book, shorts, kid's story even, follows like the exact same format. It's like there's a person comfortable in a place, an external force acts person comfortable in a place, they have some big lofty goal, but they're not going out to do it. External force pushes on them, then they have to go on this big journey. They have an initial small obstacle, and then they beat it, but then eventually they have to come to this big, like giant obstacle, and they get like, crushed by it, but then they figure out a way to overcome it. And then at the end they wrap it up and be like, this is how this person was changed by that, and then they return to home. It's like almost every story from like Hercules, Star Wars, it's like the same thing. Harry Potter and every if you're doing YouTube, like if you're a YouTuber, often you try to incorporate that stuff into your videos. Like you try to think, and it's a little different with education content, but a lot of YouTube videos you watch are probably following the hero's journey in some way. Because when I make videos, I actually will map out my video in like a bullet point mark to try to like somewhat follow the hero's journey.